Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to move on to our very special first keynote address of the morning. We examine the global sesame market review and outlook with Mr. Tarun Chawla, the Chief Operating Officer, Africa Pulses, Sesame and Peanuts for Export Trading Group, or as it is more popularly known as ETG. Presently the global head of a portfolio of businesses within the food and food ingredients vertical. In this capacity, Tarun oversees supply chain, midstream and downstream business with more than 20 years of experience in commodities, supply chain and food ingredient processing. Prior to joining ETG, he has worked for Olam and formative years with organizations like Unilever and Coca-Cola. He did his entire schooling from AFG JI, Delhi, followed by mechanical engineering from Karnataka University, and then he did his postgrad in international business from IIFT Delhi. Today, he gives us a global overview of the sesame market. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands up for Mr. Tarun Chawla.
I would like to congratulate the organizers to hold such a wonderful event, and to CFNA to have a joint effort with the Sesame Information to bring the entire industry together in this vibrant place of Macao. So thank you for organizing this, and thank you to CFNA to have a joint effort with to bring this together. So without wasting any more time, I'll move on to the presentation. To just start with, just a disclaimer that whatever views we present are our own views, and in terms of all the risk is based on your own judgment. So what I'll try to cover today is how the global supplies has been in the last few months, and how does it look like in terms of a snapshot. How the southern hemisphere, which was primarily the small crops or a complementing crops to the bigger crops of northern hemisphere, have changed the scenario of the sesame supply, and how today have become an important part of the global supply chain. How weathers continue to disrupt our supplies or create surprises in our life, that is something which we'll just touch upon. How the prices are moving, what are those factors in terms of how the prices get impacted, and where do we stand today in terms of if we look at the forward outlook of the market. So the world, in the sesame world, has been mostly in the supply terms of the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. We get supplies at the time of northern hemisphere when the harvest, which is the September, October onwards, the crop flow starts. It starts from Asia, and then it moves towards East Africa and then West Africa. So most of the countries, starting from China, India, Myanmar, India's winter crop, Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, Uganda, Nigeria, and the entire West Africa is almost 1.5 to 1.7 million tons of supply. The trade volumes vary from 1.1 to 1.3, and as we move ahead, we'll get more details on how those trade volumes move. Southern hemisphere, which is more interesting at this point of time, used to be largely driven by the India summer crop, Tanzania and Mozambique supplies. Tanzania and Mozambique used to be a smaller range of supply, but today with Brazil and Pakistan has completely changed the equation in terms of the supply situation. It's almost close to 1 million ton of supply, and we look at almost 850,000 tons of trade flow coming in from these southern hemisphere and the summer crops of India being in addition to these supplies. What it is known that Sudan and previously Ethiopia have been in conflict. Sudan continues to struggle. It used to be one of the major suppliers of sesame seeds just a few years back, but today it is missing from the action, and we will see that how those missing gaps have been already more than compensated by the supplies coming from Brazil and Pakistan. So how things have been in the past few months, if we start looking at Tanzania, Tanzania, the crop was planting areas did go up and the crop came out amazing. In terms of the supply, quality, everything worked out in the favor of Tanzania. We had a crop almost close to 200,000 tons. The auction quantity has been a record 140,000 tons plus. As we speak, we are moving towards almost 150,000 tons. And the open purchases have been limited to almost 50,000 tons. So together, we are very close to a 200,000 tons crop. Tanzania would be majorly exporting it to, again, China and then followed to Japan and few other destinations. Mozambique, there was some less acreages in the central belt and southern part of Mozambique, but I think if you look at from the overall supply, we should be able to, with some delays, but almost 80,000 tons of sesame, which includes the border areas of Zimbabwe and Malawi, should be getting into the supply, arrivals to China, processed, moving as we speak. Brazil, we will hear more from the Brazilian speakers, but it has been good growth from the Brazilian industry. It from 125,000 tons of last year, we are hoping this year, we're still trading those numbers, but almost 150 to 170,000 tons is the industry probably will be looking at. Will it cross 200? I have my doubts, but anything which is closer to 150 to 170 would be the three major regions, contribute almost 90, 60, 20 is what we hear. So this adding up to 170,000 tons of trade is a likelihood. But the important question is, today the situation is what we always thought. Sesame is not moving in a high price direction. Today, all the global factors has brought the prices at a level. Will the Brazil be able to do the intercrop plantations and still remain a profitable option for the contract farming in Brazil is something which we will hope to get the answers when the Brazil speakers come back. India, the summer crop last year was 150,000 tons. This year, probably 125,000 tons is what we believe. India has been moving in terms of summer crop becoming an important part of the supply, and the yields in summer crop are on a higher scale, and it is a very concentrated regional crop. So that gives us, India has moved from opportunistic importer to more or less a regular importer, because the import has been maturing and people understanding the business have now started to use the imports as a hedge mechanism, forward sales. So there are multiple reasons where we believe India's imports will continue. India imported last year 125,000 tons. This year, halfway, they are already 60,000 plus. So the way things are contracted with some of the Brazilians and the other East African supplies from Somalia, or so we believe it can again add up to more than 100,000 tons of imports by India. And we will talk about how the winter crop looks like, but India is almost 100,000 ton plus market consistently for, if you look at from an average perspective. Pakistan, I think the most interesting and exciting opportunity is, and we all would like to know, is where the Pakistan crop would end up be. But today, it is more looking towards 300,000 ton plus crop, despite we have seen some of the rain damage news or the news related to quality issues. But overall, I think we have passed that stage where the supplies can be reduced or disrupted. It is more of how the quality and the shipments will span out. So an important addition to the supply of sesame world, Pakistan has been now coming at a time when the southern hemisphere crops get over and before the northern hemisphere crops even come in. So all of this, 1 million tons of supply being what right now being flown into the destinations or available for processing at destinations. Weather, again, so far so good in terms of no disruptions happened because of the cyclone in Tanzania, nor did it impact too much anywhere in the East Africa. Pakistan, we have spoken, it is already have some issues related to rain damage, but the crop is still looking in terms of supply is good. We will have a winter crop in India or the Asian crops which can come under some threat of rain damage. As we see clearly, India's harvest is towards the end of September, early October, and La Nina will develop by that period. So anything which La Nina develops, it can bring an excess rain in Asia, and especially when the India harvests their winter crop, the risk prevails. So, and we have seen when the 3 La Nina years were back to back happening, there was a impact on the India's winter crop. So we have to be watchful on how the Asian crops look like, especially the Indian winter crop. If you look at the major origins and destinations, it has been more than 2 million tons of supply. Marked in red are something which need to be yet to be looking at how the things will span out. Other than that, we believe the 2024 number will definitely be close to be a 2.1 million metric ton. Given that there is no surprises in the West Africa supplies, because we have factored in the Sudan and Ethiopia numbers, which largely have become public domain information in terms of what is the impact. It's known shipments are extremely difficult to go out of Port Sudan still. The logistics cost is extremely high. So this 2.1 million tons, mostly if we look at the balancing factor is the China. We do expect China to import 1.1 million ton in 2024. The numbers are already showing their trend. In the first 6 months, I think we have crossed 580,000 tons, with Pakistan supplies and the Southern Hemisphere supplies have not come in. So with Tanzania, Mozambique and Pakistan and some of early arrivals from West Africa, I think China will hit 1.1 million tons of imports. Other than that, I think there is no surprises. Japan hopefully will, at the end of the opportunity, using these price levels, try to import slightly more than what they do in 170, 180,000 tons. But other than that, I think the overall picture looks like a 2.1 million tons of trade. We spoke about India already. India would be almost by the end of the year 100,000 tons of imports, and Brazil numbers will start coming into the flow. Other than that, Korea has been an important market. It has been an amazing growth story. That will be covered tomorrow. But what it has done is that it continues to import the quota, which is the 77 to 80,000 tons. But it also has the Vietnam trade coming into Korea, which has become almost 50,000 tons. So Korea's consumption has reached almost 130 to 140,000 tons, despite being, and this will have some influence with some of the bilateral trade agreements which South Korea is planning. I think that we'll leave it for tomorrow's discussion. But how will South Korea's investment in Vietnam start impacting if the free trade agreements starts getting signed, and will they start moving from the powder business to the oil business? That's something which we'll see. Other than that, I think it's a well-supplied market and an excess supply situation as we move ahead. China, what I believe is the 1.1 million tons and the forward purchases which China is now making, it's overall hopefully be a good for optimism about the demand of China. China at these prices, if you look at the differential in the oil seeds, it has come down significantly. Peanuts is still almost $1,050 or $1,000 commodity, but we are today almost very differentials between other oil seeds and sesame has diminished, and I think it will encourage the end usage. And as we look at the overall demand from China, with the way China is coming back in a recovery mode, if we read the English news, you will always get a very glimpse picture of the way the China's recovery is happening. But if you look at actually in terms of move out in China, go to major cities, and you will see some optimism coming back. And I think that optimism will help the demand going forward. So China's crop, I think it will be covered separately. But what we believe is the last year supplies was almost 270,000 tons. And with this year, we can also expect another 270,000 tons of the China's domestic crop. So with the more supplies coming from Tanzania, Mozambique, which will land now, and Pakistan, which needs to be traded, and a good domestic crop, China is sufficient supplies and a place where we will have high inventory levels at the destination. It's something which is more likely to happen as we move towards the end of the year. Yes, so this has been the story for our volatility. It has been a volatile commodity, and this volatility is a risk and an opportunity. More of a opportunity. It's again the half full or half empty as a glass. So the way we have seen is, we have seen climate, crop returns, especially in terms, if we look at China also, the depressed corn prices have made sesame as a remunerative crop. If you look at Tanzania, at one point of time, sunflower seed was looking very remunerative, and then those and soybean situation changed, and sesame again got the planting areas back. So we do believe that this is a cyclicality which no one can do away with. High prices will always give way to low prices, and low prices in a row crop will always give way to high prices. So with these low prices, important questions to be asked by Brazil: will they be able to sustain the crops below $1,300 price levels or at $1,200 price levels? Similarly, how will the motivation of the farmers in the southern hemisphere crops, would they start moving to sunflower seeds? Because sunflower seeds has been a short crop and the prices have been remunerative. So for now, currency, China's currency, interest rate cuts, will it start appreciating? Most likely. China's ability to, as a CNY appreciates, it will be able to be more affordable for them. So are we looking at more like a 6.8, 6.9 in currency? West African currency is extremely volatile. Anything to do with the West African currency in the season would lead to a significant impact on the sesame prices. And obviously Pakistan's sesame continues to have a currency impact and a forward outlook which is more likely to be weakening, but we will hear from the Pakistan speakers on whether the currency outlook. So all the factors will continue to impact the prices, but I'm really optimistic with these prices. The end consumption of sesame can benefit. Today at these prices, I think whether it's a sesame oil company or whether it is a tahina company or a hummus company, they are all encouraged, because a $2,000 commodity discourages them with the new product trials, ability to afford, especially in major markets where affordability has become a challenge. So with these price levels, I think it's a time when we will see some exciting opportunities coming, especially from the end consumption, and we really hope they make use of these price levels to come up with some new product developments which can overall benefit the industry. So where do we see mostly the bearish outlook has been outweighing any bullish news in the market? We have seen prices plummet. We do foresee that these prices can remain on a lower range because of the continuous excess supply which will be remaining for the next 6 months. And because of that, and especially the currency is also more in a direction of supporting the lower prices. Only thing which need to be aware is the shipment conflicts, which is something which is a black swan event, and none of us can put a finger on it. When will that happen? But apart from that, I think the bearish news has been factored in, and we are today at a point where the prices are at below their any long-term mean. So with this, I think it will encourage not only the end user, but if you look at from an oilseed perspective, because China is a 30 million ton edible oil market. So it is not only us. We are not living in the isolation, the sesame world. So there is a soya world, there is a peanut oil world, there is a rapeseed oil world. We'll also look at these prices as a hedge for their overall position. So we never know how sesame can also start coming as at these price levels, different things happen. So we do expect that these prices have very close to where they should be, but in terms of bottoming out. But depending on how the currency moves, the crop outlook of Pakistan, if it improves, then we can have a further pressure on these prices. But this is where we believe we are very close to the bottom, where prices can be used for multiple other oil industry participants. Thank you, and as a responsible participant, we continue to empower wherever we can as our humble gestures in Africa, because wherever we participate, we try to engage with the society, whether in terms of seeds or local community. So thank you for this opportunity.